The Power of Mastery, Your Program by TRACY. Everything that occurs to you, all you become, and everything you achieve are all influenced by the way you think and use your mind. You start changing your life as you start changing your mind. But how did you arrive at your present position? What defining factors united to create the person you are today? What are the causes behind your thoughts and feelings, as well as the events that led you to where you are now? This chapter will teach you about your master program and how, beginning at a young age, you were placed on a kind of autopilot. You'll discover how to take charge of your internal navigation system and how to get rid of influences and roadblocks that have been getting in the way of your happiness without your knowledge. You will discover how to adjust your master program so that it is more in line with the outcomes you desire. I didn't have a job and was residing in a modest apartment when I was 20. It was 35 degrees below zero in the middle of the winter. I was by myself in a new city, thousands of miles away from my home. When I was 31, 11 years later, I was back to living alone in a modest apartment. Once more, the temperature outdoors was 35 below zero. I was jobless and heavily in debt and thousands of miles away from my friends and family. After 11 years of employment and travel, not much had altered. Even though I was smarter and older, I still felt like I was going in circles. I was irritated. I thought I was moving along quite slowly. I had always secretly believed that I was capable of doing more with my life, but I had no idea how to do it. I had read that the average person only employs 10% or less of their potential throughout their lifetime. One of the greatest minds of the 20th century, Albert Einstein, was thought to have only utilized around 15% of his. Based on investigations of the neocortex, often known as the thinking brain of the human being, researchers at Stanford University came to the conclusion that the average person employs just around 2% of their mental faculties. This topic really interested me. What was the typical person's capacity? What was my true capacity? How might I push myself further? Without the correct combination, I was attempting to access a lock. I read and thought about it, and gradually, I found the solutions, one at a time. I figured out the lock's combination for the entrance to human potential. I was able to transform my life thanks to this combo, and you can change yours as well. To begin with, there has never been and never will be anyone exactly like you in the history of the human race. The likelihood of another person ever being born with your particular combination of traits and talents is greater than 50 billion to 1. You have the capacity to accomplish something unique, perhaps even extraordinary, with your life. The only genuine query you must address is if you intend to carry it out. While it's true that some people are born with amazing talents, the majority of us begin life with more or less average skills and ability. The majority of men and women who excel in any industry do so by honing their inherent skills and talents to a very high degree in a particular sector of interest. If you want to tap into more of your true potential, you must recognize and cultivate the potential that already exists within of you. A quick equation. The formula X equals IHP contains one definition of individual potential. The initials IA stand for inborn characteristics. Your natural preferences, temperament, and general mental capacity are things you were born with. The following two letters, M, stand for necessary qualities. As you have aged and grown, you have acquired or developed this knowledge, skills, talents, and abilities. The second letter, A, stands for attitude, or the kind of mental vigor you apply to your blend of innate and learned characteristics. IHP, or individual human performance, is a term. Inborn traits plus acquired traits multiplied by attitude equals individual human performance, according to the formula. The core parts of your personality, your innate qualities, natural talents, and aptitudes are generally determined at birth. They make up your genetic background. Not much can be done to alter them. The skills and abilities you build by utilizing your innate capabilities through education and experience are known as your acquired qualities. These are the areas where you are capable of mastery and competence. Through study and practice, you may gradually develop, enhance, and modify your learned traits, but the process is deliberate and long, requiring patience, self-control, and a significant amount of work. A, or attitude, is the only unknown in the equation. And now for one of the realizations that altered my life. Even someone with mediocre inborn characteristics and average learned characteristics can achieve at a high level if they have a very good mental attitude, since the quality of your attitude can be increased nearly without limit, and you can instantly and nearly endlessly improve your mindset. This is why how much you do depends on both your attitude and your aptitude, and you have direct influence over your attitude of your choosing. Each and every minute of the day, you have the power to choose what it will be. The term attitude, according to Earl Nightingale, is the most crucial one in the English language. We are aware that an optimistic outlook is important. That has been said for years. But exactly what is that? Your attitude determines how you live your life. Your angle of attack is that. It is the visible manifestation of your thoughts and feelings as well as your general mental attitude. A positive mental attitude is a broad sense of optimism and joy that you bring to every person, issue, and event you come across during the course of the day. One of the finest ways to tell who you truly are on the inside is by your attitude. Additionally, individuals reflect your attitude toward them back to you. This is why positive, upbeat people seem to get along with everyone they encounter. The first step to realizing your full potential is to have a positive outlook on both your life and yourself. And the only way to determine your true attitude is to watch how you respond when things go wrong. Circumstances do not constitute the man. They merely show him to himself, wrote Epictetus. The greatest method to determine your character is to see how you act under duress. For better or worse, your true nature is revealed. However, where did you get your attitude from? What makes one individual optimistic while another is pessimistic? Your expectations influence your attitude. Your expectations of who you are and what your life will be like are quite strong. They make a profound impact on your personality. You'll approach people and circumstances with positivity and optimism if you expect nice things to happen to you. You'll probably discover good in people if you look for it. It's likely that you'll experience something fantastic today if you expect it to. The outstanding personality is identified by their positive expectations. They help you develop a mindset of optimism that goes hand in hand with happiness and self-assurance. They help you develop a type of mental toughness and a carefree optimism that helps you to react positively to the difficulties you encounter every day. And as I mentioned in Chapter 2, by choosing to do so, you can create your own expectations. What then is the source of your expectations? To go down to the source of how you think and feel, you must first penetrate each layer of your personality one at a time. It is the only method to quickly and permanently change both your performance and your life, from the inside out. Everything is. Your inner existence is always the source of what you do and say on the outside. Your beliefs about who you are and the world you live in influence your expectations. What you think to be true in that area determines your expectations for other people, your job, and every other aspect of your life. Although you may hold erroneous or self-defeating beliefs, they will expectations, attitudes, and ultimately results, all of which become apparent. The law of belief states that if you have a positive outlook on life, if you think the world is a nice place, and if you think you are a good person, then you will hope for the best for yourself, others, and the situations you come across. The law of correspondence states that individuals will reflect back to you your attitude toward them when you have optimistic expectations, which will be portrayed in a positive mental attitude. What you give forth, you will receive back. Therefore, the nature of your personality is determined by your views. What about the source of your beliefs? This gets us to what is arguably the biggest psychological discovery of the 20th century, the identification of the self-concept, the master program, your set of assumptions about who you are, how the world works, and all other aspects of your existence make up your self-concept. It serves as your subconscious computer's master program. According to the law of belief, your beliefs shape your reality because they cause you to always view the world through a lens of preconceptions that are generated by your belief system. Your performance and behavior in all areas of your life are preceded by and predictable by your self-concept and belief system. You always behave in a way that is compatible with your self-concept, which is consistent with the collection of beliefs you have held since birth. In other words, you are who and what you are as a result of the way you view yourself. Your views determine whether you are wealthy or poor, happy or unhappy, fat or thin, successful or unsuccessful. If you alter your views in any aspect of your life, changes occur there right away. Your achievements, expectations, attitudes, and behavior all change. There is no other way for your outside world to exist than as a manifestation of your inner world. You are not who you believe yourself to be, despite what you may believe. Each of us has been trained to act, think, and walk in the manner that we do today. You cannot alter how you feel, act, or think on the inside without also altering how you view yourself on the outside. Negative attitudes and behaviors in your life and relationships will be an expression of a false or negative self-concept. But by substituting self-liberating ideas and beliefs for self-limiting ones, you can alter your program and your self-concept. You can start to see yourself more as the person you want to be than as the one you are. You may make the choice to make every aspect of your life lively, upbeat, and pleasant. Your life can be crafted into a masterpiece. And when you do, these fresh, positive ideas, they start dressing themselves in their physical realities right away. Different facets of your self-concept. How well you perform anything and your self-concept in that field are directly correlated. You deliver what you think you are capable of delivering. In whatever you do, you are only as effective as you think you are. You can never be more superior or distinctive on the outer than you are on the inside. You are displaying a positive self-concept in that area whenever you feel good about yourself and are succeeding in that area of your life, whether it be at work, in your relationships, or in sports. Your poor performance, feelings of inferiority or awkwardness, or inappropriate behavior in a circumstance are all manifestations of your low self-perception. Outside is like the inside. You can change for the better because your self-concept is mostly subjective rather than objective. Your opinions of yourself, particularly your self-limiting opinions and doubts, are not supported by any facts. Negative beliefs about your abilities and self are frequently the result of misinformation that you have consumed and accepted as fact. As soon as you start to reject these self-defeating beliefs, their influence over you starts to wane. Your true potential becomes limitless by consciously changing the way you view yourself. A young man, perhaps 25 years old, who attended my class was a laborer in the building trade. He experienced a mental shock during our discussion about the impact of the self-concept. For him, the lights turned on. He was in awe. He revealed to me that his father had repeatedly yelled at his children, "Oh, our family has worked as laborers ever as we can remember. It's just part of life. It just so happens that way." He was exposed to this as a child and came to believe it as true, so after finishing school, he started working as a laborer. He suddenly understood at the course that he had accepted his father's constrained worldview without inquiry. He had completely ingested his father's worldview. He adopted his father's perspective on himself and the outside world. He was still working by the sweat of his brow 7 years later. He had unintentionally allowed his father to influence how he saw himself in terms of his career and his potential. He realized how his expectations and attitude had been affected by his self-perception. He understood that he had consistently drawn only work-related chances and that his views had shaped his external environment, his relationships, and his way of life. At that very moment, he realized he didn't enjoy working as a laborer. He had always believed he was capable of doing much more, but he also felt constrained. He had a new sense of freedom and command now. For the first time, he understood that his restrictions weren't external, they were within. After the seminar, he left his manual labor position and began working his way up in the sales industry. He struggled at first, but he was persistent. He read all the selling-related books he could locate. He listened to every program on the audio cassette. He traveled to sales seminars in other cities and attended all of the ones that were offered in his neighborhood. We stayed in contact. He had more than doubled his income in a single year. He was earning 4 times as much after 2 years. He quickly rose to the top of his sales team and was hired away for better pay and more opportunities. Within 5 years, he was earning more than $100,000 annually, had a gorgeous home, a lovely wife, 2 adorable children, and an exciting future ahead of him. He controlled his own destiny. The moment he saw how much his self-concept dominated his life, as it did for me and many others, he made the decision to alter it. From then, everything else happened. You have a number of mini self-concepts in addition to your overall self-concept, which is a summary of your views about yourself. Your performance and behavior in each specific area of your life that you value in terms of importance are governed by these elements of your self-concept. You have an idea of who you are based on your weight, what you eat, how much you exercise, and how well you fit. You have a self-concept that is based on how you look and how you present yourself to others. You have an idea of who you are as a child to your parents and as a parent. You have an idea of your own popularity among your coworkers and friends. You have an opinion of yourself based on how well you perform in each sport and even in each component of each sport. A golfer may have 2 different self-concepts. One is a superb driver and the other as a terrible putter, and play accordingly. If you work in sales, your overall self-perception of how effective you are as a salesperson affects how effectively you perform in that role. Additionally, you have personal perceptions about your abilities in the areas of prospecting, need analysis, solution presentation, handling of objections, and closing. Depending on how you envision yourself carrying out those activities, you will either be at ease and confident in each of these situations, or uncomfortable and uncertain. You have an idea of yourself that you are efficient and well organized in both your personal and professional lives, and you'll always act in a way that is compatible with how you view yourself. You are unable to act differently from your subconscious programming, just as a machine cannot choose to disobey its programming. You have a general idea of who you are as a professional and how much money you can expect to make. You can never advance much beyond your level of skill or earn much more or less than your level of self-perception. In fact, you will feel very uncomfortable if your income is more than 10% over or below what you believe it should be. You'll start acting in a compensating way right away. If you make 10% more than you should, you'll start to spend it, lend it out, invest in things you don't understand, give it away, or even lose it. Anyone who unexpectedly finds themselves with more money than is consistent with their self-concept engages in such throwaway conduct. There are several accounts of both men and women who have won significant sums of money in different lotteries. In most cases, if they were working laborious jobs when they won the money, they would be back working at those jobs in 2 to 3 years. Their money would have vanished, and they would have no idea where it had gone. You start to behave in a scrambling manner if your income is 10% or more below your self-concept level. To get your income back up to your self-concept range, you start to think more imaginatively, work longer and harder, consider second income alternatives, or consider changing employment. You gradually settle into your various comfort Ws when it comes to money, weight, or anything else, and once there, you make every effort to stay there. You are resistant to all types of change, even good change. The greatest adversary of human potential is our comfort. Your ease of living resulted in hard-to-break lifestyle habits. Any behavior that endures over time eventually develops into a rut. The majority of your energy is then spent on making your rut more comfortable rather than utilizing intelligence to get out of it. You defend and explain why nothing can be done to change your circumstances. You acknowledge this and declare, "There is nothing I can do." However, there are many things you may do to alter your future. You will learn how to get out of your comfort zone in the pages that follow. You will learn how to enter a new belief system for yourself at the keyboard of your own mental computer. In order to get more of what you truly desire in life, you can learn from William how to remodel your self-concept. Your self-concept has 3 elements. The 3 components of your self-concept are similar to the 3 layers of a cake. Your self-ideal is the first of these 3 components. This is your idealized picture of the kind of person you would like to be in every way. This idealized self-perception has a significant impact on your behavior and self-perception. Your self-ideal is a conglomeration of the traits and characteristics of others, both alive and deceased, that you most admire. It is the accumulation of your most important goals. It represents your idea of what the ideal person ought to be. Exceptional men and women have extremely distinct self-ideals that they continuously work to achieve. They have high expectations for themselves and work hard to meet them. You too can do it. The more committed you are to becoming the person you want to be, the more likely it is that you will transform into that person gradually. You'll reach the pinnacle of your own dominant dreams. What you most aspire to be, you will become. Unfortunately, unsuccessful and depressed people tend to have extremely imprecise goals, or in the majority of situations, no goals at all. They don't contribute much or without giving any attention to the type of person they wish to be or the attributes that they want to grow as individuals. Their development finally slows down and quits. They get mentally stale and there they remain. They lose all motivation to better themselves. When one admires and values the virtues of integrity, when one sees others act with purpose, courage, and action orientation, one starts to embody such qualities in oneself. You make clear your core principles and strive to incorporate them. Since your outside life mirrors your inner life, as you incorporate them into all you do, your personality improves as well as your work, relationships, and every other element of your outer life. More on this later. Your self-image makes up the second component of your self-concept. Your perception of and attitude toward yourself is known as your self-image. While you go about your regular tasks to yourself, your sense of yourself is said to as your inner mirror, into which you gaze to assess in a certain circumstance. You are expected to act or respond in a certain way. You constantly act in a way that is compatible with the internal image you have of yourself. As a result, by consciously altering the mental images you have of yourself in that situation, you can improve your performance. This method of altering your self-image is among the quickest and most effective strategies to boost your performance. Your behavior gets more targeted and efficient as you start to think and feel more competent and confident about yourself. You'll discover how to intentionally alter your self-perception later in this chapter. When you do, you'll behave, walk, and feel better than you ever have. By altering your mental representations, you can modify your personality as well as your outcomes. Your self-esteem makes up the third component of your self-concept. How you view yourself is a reflection of your self-esteem. It is the emotional core of your character and the underlying characteristic of outstanding achievement. It is the secret to contentment and good personal performance. It is comparable to the nuclear power plant's reactor core. It is the source of your personality's drive, enthusiasm, vigor, and optimism, which transforms you into a highly successful man or woman. 2 elements determine your level of self-esteem, and they are as follows, similar to the 2 sides of the same coin. First, consider how priceless how well you think of yourself, how much you like, and recognize your own goodness. The personal assessment is as follows. Self-esteem aspect. In addition to what? This is your evaluation of yourself, is now occurring in your life. This initial component is independent of outside factors. A person with a healthy sense of self-worth and face several challenges and failures in life and yet have a high opinion of themselves, considers themselves to be human. Unfortunately, very few people have evolved to the point where they can maintain a sense of inner importance regardless of the circumstances around them. The second component that affects your degree of self-esteem is your perception of self-efficacy, or how confident you are in your abilities and competence. This is the aspect of self-esteem that is performance-based. Most genuine and enduring self-confidence and self-respect are developed on this foundation. Your self-esteem is boosted by these two facets. You work harder when you feel good about yourself. Additionally, you feel good about yourself when you perform well. Both are necessary. Without the other, neither can survive. How much you love yourself is the best indicator of your level of self-esteem. You achieve anything you set your mind to more successfully the more you like who you are. The more you feel good about yourself, the more self-assured you are, the happier you are generally, the healthier and more energetic you are. And since how you feel is greatly influenced by how you speak to yourself, whether quietly or aloud, you may instantly boost your self-esteem by repeatedly expressing, "I like myself." One such as myself. I like who I am. You may also say, "I love myself." I cherish myself. I cherish myself. When you hear it for the first time, it might sound corny, but it has a lot of force. Try looking up from this page and repeating to yourself multiple times, "I like myself," as though you truly mean it. Better still, say "I like myself" while gazing at the next mirror you pass. You'll discover that saying this 5 or 6 times won't make you feel any better about yourself. This is what we have taught our kids. We coerce them into saying, "I like myself," whenever they are acting out or sad, and they soon smile and cheer up. The more open and attentive one is to this message, it appears, the more of an effect it has on that person's personality. Self-esteem is really beneficial. In actuality, it is the secret to one's own effectiveness and to fulfilling interpersonal interactions. You do better in everything you do the more you respect and appreciate yourself. You're happier and more at ease. Your self-assurance in your skills has increased. You commit less errors. You are more energized and imaginative. Some individuals have been trained to associate loving oneself with being egotistical or annoying. However, the exact opposite is true. Both the superiority complex, which manifests as conceited or arrogant behavior, and the inferiority complex, which manifests as self-deprecating behavior, are symptoms of poor self-esteem or not loving oneself at all. Genuinely confident individuals get along with just about anyone. The Self-Esteem rules. Self-esteem and self-like have 2 rules. The first rule is that you can never love or like someone else more than you do yourself. What you don't have can't be given away. The second rule is that you should never put too much stock in what other people think or feel about you. The quality of your interpersonal connections is under control by how much you like and accept yourself. It is either the issue or the answer in any scenario involving people. The amount of satisfaction and enjoyment you share with the other people in your life increases with every action you do to boost and support your own sense of self-worth. Where does your self-concept come from if it is the motherboard of your subconscious computer? How does it develop? What materials makes up it? The most crucial question is, how can you rewire it such that you get better and work harder at everything you do? Development of self-concept. You lacked a self-concept from birth. The things that have happened to you since you were a baby have taught you everything that you amorph one and beline about yourself today. Each child enters the world as unformed potential, with a unique temperament and a few innate qualities, but no notion of who they are at all. You have learned to have every attitude, behavior, value, opinion, belief, and fear that you do today. You can therefore unlearn any aspects of your self-concept that are counterproductive to your goals. For instance, I just read of a 32-year-old woman who was involved in a car accident. She banged her head and lost all memory of what happened. She was married with 2 children, ages 8 and 10, at the time of the disaster. She was incredibly withdrawn, stuttering, and anxious around other people. She had a negative self-image and little self-worth. She had a small social circle and no job, which made the situation worse. She had complete amnesia, so when she awoke in the hospital, she had no recollection of her previous existence. She couldn't recall who her parents were, nor could she recall her husband or her kids. This was so out of the ordinary that numerous experts, including neurosurgeons and psychologists, were sent in to speak with her and evaluate her. She was such a unique case that she gained a lot of notoriety. She underwent radio and television interviews after her physical recovery. She started researching her illness, and finally she authored a book and articles outlining her experiences. She started touring and delivering talks to academic and professional audiences. She eventually rose to prominence as an expert on amnesia. She had no recollection of her past, her childhood, due to her upbringing being the focus of attention, and other factors, and being accorded the respect due to someone of great importance. She underwent a complete personality change. She developed a cheerful attitude and an outgoing demeanor. She became highly gregarious, and she was warm and acquired a great sense of humor. She moved into a completely new social circle, became well-liked, and met people. And as a result, she created a whole different self-concept, congruent with excellence, joy, and fulfillment in life. She switched out one thought pattern for another. You will be able to make changes that transform you into the kind of person you respect and wish to be like after you have a better understanding of how your self-concept was created. You will discover how to develop into the kind of person who can fulfill the objectives and aspirations that are most significant to you. Children have no notion of themselves when they are born. From an early age, children pick up on how essential and precious they are by how they are treated. Infants have a great need for affection and physical contact. Their emotional oxygen is provided by the affection in their surroundings. In their early years of living away from home, youngsters cannot receive enough love and affection. Children require love as much as roses require rain. They require shelter, food, and water almost as much as they do for proper development. In the first 3 to 5 years of life, the basis of personality is set. The amount and quality of unbroken love and affection that the child receives from parents and others during this period will greatly influence how healthy the adult will be. Early in life, a youngster who has experienced a lot of love, care, and support is more likely to have a stable and uplifting personality. A child who experiences harsh criticism and punishment as a parent is more likely to develop into an adult who is scared, suspicious, and mistrust, as well as having a range of personality disorders. Children who were denied the affection and security they required were invariably adults with low self-esteem and unfavorable mental attitudes. The characteristics of children. Children have two outstanding traits from birth. The first is that they are primarily born outside of Africa. Only the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises accompany them when they first enter the world. As the youngster grows, all new anxieties must be taught to them via repetition and reinforcement. Children under the age of 5 or 6 are known to have no fear of anything, according to anyone who has ever attempted to raise one. They'll climb ladders, dart into traffic, grab objects with sharp edges, and overall act in a way that would seem suicidal to an adult. They don't have any concerns at all unless their parents instill them with. Children are fully unconstrained, which is their second amazing trait. They weep their pants, cry, and laugh. They act and speak according to their feelings without giving a damn about what other people might think. They have zero inhibitions and are fully spontaneous in how they express themselves. Have you ever seen a baby who was self-conscious? Fortunately, this is your default setting. It's how you enter the world, confident and unfettered, able to express yourself freely and readily in any circumstance. Years later, anytime you are in a safe environment with people you trust, you frequently revert to this natural state of fearlessness and spontaneity, so you know this to be true. These are some of the best times of your life, your zenith experiences, when you are truly happy and you feel entirely free to let your hair down and be yourself. They also reflect your typical, natural state. How kids learn. Children learn primarily in two ways. They initially learn by imitation, or both of one's parents. Your values, attitudes, beliefs, and actions, along with many of your adult dietary patterns, were shaped by listening to and watching your parents when you were developing. It is undoubtedly true that like father, like son, and like mother, like daughter are adages. A child will frequently strongly identify with one parent and be impacted by that parent more so than the other. Moving from discomfort to comfort or from pain to pleasure is the second method that kids learn. This was known as the pleasure principle by Sigmund Freud. And the majority of psychologists' conclusions are that the primary driving force behind all human action is the pursuit of happiness or pleasure. The child's growth is influenced by this ongoing drive or need, from eating habits to toilet training to every facet of socializing. Motivation toward comfort or personal enjoyment, moving away from unpleasant feelings. The loss of a parent's affection and acceptance is the most devastating and scary of all the discomforts a child may experience. Children have a strong need for their parents' love, support, and protection as well as for emotional security. When a parent withholds their affection in an effort to correct, manage, or punish their child, the youngster feels incredibly uneasy and insecure. The youngster experiences fear. Everything depends on the child's perception. What the child perceives influences the child's feelings and behaviors, not what the parents intended or meant. When a youngster feels that love has been withheld, that child quickly alters his or her behavior in an effort to regain the affection and approval of the parent. The youngster compares grasping for a life preserver to being in the water. The security of the child is at jeopardy without an unceasing stream of unconditional affection. The child loses their spontaneity and fearlessness out of frustration. The majority of personality issues in life stem from love withheld. From childhood on, most of what we do in life is probably an attempt to either win someone's affection or make up for the lack of it. The majority of our painful childhood memories are connected to what we believe was a lack of love. These earlier experiences of being deprived of affection serve as the foundation for the majority of our issues in adult relationships. The child starts to lose his or her innate fearlessness and spontaneity at a young age as a result of parenting blunders, particularly when they employ harmful criticism and physical punishment. He or she starts to form unfavorable behavioral patterns and responses to the world. positive or negative habits are all conditioned reactions to stimulus. They are absorbed into the subconscious mind as a result of repetition, which is done repeatedly. When they are triggered by a stimulus, they then operate autonomously. Negative behaviors develop into routine behavior and components of our self-concept. They become our safe spaces. We only feel at ease when we're doing or responding in a particularly unpleasant way if they're ingrained and integrated into our psychological makeup. We start acting more out of fear than out of want. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more content similar to this.